Let us now look at the Syrian agenda. What is happening in Syria? Let us answer this question. Another torture center of the ousted Assad regime has come to light. Haber Global reporter Mehmet Altun Isik and cameraman Sharik Aliskan have entered the dungeon of the regime's intelligence service Al-Mukhabarat.
My cameraman friend Sharik Aliskan and I are in one of the most important centers in Damascus. This is one of the buildings of the regime's intelligence service, Al-Mukhabarat, the building of the son of 215. The intelligence service would bring those they detained and captured to this building, and they were kept in this building for a long time for interrogation. And while they kept them for a long time, on the one hand, they were doing public business upstairs, and on the other hand, underneath these public buildings, people had to be kept in these dungeons for days, months, and even years. Look, this is a dungeon, and the prisoners thrown here are kept in these dungeons for interrogation for a long time. In fact, it is an area where only a few people can survive, but dozens of people were crammed in here at the same time and kept waiting only to be interrogated. Here is the only source of comfort they had in the bleak dungeon, which we tactfully refer to as an intelligence building, was a thin blanket. It was placed both on top of and beneath them. Within this grim underground facility, their every need had to be fulfilled. Their hunger, their basic requirements, everything. However, it would be fair to say that it could also be classified as a place of torture. Deep beneath the surface lies yet another dungeon, concealed within what is apparently a public edifice. Just above this location are numerous ministry buildings. Among them, discreetly tucked away, are two structures that house the intelligence service, commonly known as Al-Jabirat. One of these buildings bears the number 215. Interestingly enough, it serves multiple functions. It serves not only as part of the ministry buildings, but also operates as an underground chamber for interrogation and detention. While we have previously ventured through the larger cells, there are also smaller cells positioned along the periphery. Now let us delve into one of these smaller cells. As you can see, there is not the slightest. In this suffocating cell, devoid of any ventilation shaft or window, my height aligns almost perfectly with the ceiling. A sight below unveils a blanket laid upon the cold stone floor, the meager existence prisoners are resigned to. Within the confinements of this space, they are compelled to fulfill their most basic needs, including bodily waste. Eating and drinking take place in the same area. Survival in this minuscule dungeon, this agonizing torture center, a challenge like no other. They were forced to wait for an extended period of time. Look, why don't we enter one of these establishments? Why don't we enter another one? When I step inside, in fact, in a similar manner, when these entrances are shut, again, but even when this door was opened, or even when it was opened, people longed for the daylight. This dungeon I am in now is completely dark. When I close this one, see, when I close the top, it turns into a dark area. Here you go. Prisoners held here. According to the intelligence service, the suspects, according to the Al correspondent, were held for interrogation for days in this tiny space that you see here. Some of them, some for months. For years he was kept in these dungeons only to be interrogated. What happens after the interrogation? Subjected to 1,000 kinds of torture? Oh, and after going through the interrogation, if they are found guilty and there is no need for there to be any crime, they were especially transferred to Sednaya prison, but it is stated that there were tens or even hundreds of people who could not get out of here, that is, who died as a result of those tortures. Again, you see a tiny space here. It looks like a single cell, but at the same time it looks like a shower cabin. Here again, now we call it a shower cabin, but the prisoners were not actually given any kind of shower. We are talking about an intelligence service full of such torture. The building number 215 of the Al-Mukhabarat is on the upper side, on one side, while public works are being carried out and ministries are serving here. More precisely, when people were going upstairs to and from ministries and public buildings, tens, hundreds, even thousands of people were being tortured under those buildings. They were losing their lives after torture.